Communist leader Vrinda Karat recently tried to instigate the tribals in Jharkhand by suggesting that the corporates which set up businesses in tribal-dominated states such as Jharkhand are doing so by encroaching upon their lands and resources. She claimed that tribals are being ousted by mine owners and big corporate companies. Except while Karat seems to be forgetting the bloody history of communists and how they have actively encouraged terrorism under the garb of working for tribal rights. The tribal movement in India originally focused on protecting indigenous rights. Except over the years, in some parts of India, it has been influenced by left-leaning and extremist groups to further political and ideological objectives. This shift has turned some aspects of the tribal struggle into what authorities label as terror movements. This has led to leftist insurgencies like Naxalism and Maoism gaining influence. Here's how the left-wing lobby has leveraged tribal issues to radicalize certain movements and terrify populations with red terror. The tribal movement in India began as a response to the historical marginalization and exploitation of indigenous communities or Adivasis who have long faced social, economic and political discrimination. Since colonial times, the tribal population has been oppressed through land encroachments, forced labor and lack of access to resources essential for their traditional way of life. The British colonial administration imposed taxes, restricted access to forests, and introduced exploitative land policies that disrupted indigenous livelihoods. The first organized tribal uprisings in India arose during the British rule with the notable revolts like the Santhal Rebellion in Jharkhand in 1855-56 and the Munda Rebellion in 1899-1900 led by Birsa Munda, each aimed at resisting the oppressive policies and reclaiming rights over land and forest. These uprisings set the foundation for tribal resistance in modern India as they aimed to protect indigenous cultural identity, autonomy and access to resources. Post-independence, the Congress-led Indian government implemented land reforms and tribal welfare policies. However, these measures often fail to address the root cause of exploitation and marginalization. In response to displacement caused by industrial projects, logging and mining, as well as continued social injustices, tribal communities continued to mobilize, particularly in resource-rich areas. The rise of leftist and communist ideologies in the 1960s and 1970s, exemplified by the Naxalbari uprising in West Bengal, gradually inspired a section of tribal and peasant movements to adopt more radical approaches. They viewed armed struggle as a means of confronting systematic oppression. Over time, Maoist or Naxalite groups tapped into tribal discontent, particularly in central and eastern India, by organized protest against mining corporations and infrastructure projects that threatened tribal lands. While the original tribal movements sought to protect indigenous rights, some groups were co-opted by Maoist insurgents to advance their ideological aims, leading to a militarized resistance that positioned itself against the Indian state and at times against the very development efforts intended to improve tribal welfare. In order to do this, they tapped into the genuine grievances of tribal communities, such as land alienation, displacement, and lack of resources, often resulting from large industrialized and mining projects. By highlighting government and corporate injustices, they have mobilized tribal people to resist through militant means. Tribal communities, traditionally marginalized and with little access to basic amenities, become receptive to leftist ideologies that promise them inclusion, systematic change, equal distribution, and an end to exploitation. Leftist extremists, particularly the Maoist groups, have introduced guerrilla tactics, arms, and organized resistance among tribal populations, especially in central India. In regions like Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, and Orissa, Naxalite groups are highly active, often using remote tribal belts as their operational basis. These groups train locals in armed resistance, sometimes coercively aiming to create liberated zones free of government control from which they hope to launch a broader revolution. Maoist groups have tried to set up a parallel governance in tribal-dominated areas, undermining the Indian state. This shadow administration includes people's courts or Jan Adalats, where tribal people are tried outside the formal judicial system, often with punishments that are violent or coercive. The system reinforces loyalty to the Maoist cause and keeps communities isolated from state influence and support, further entrenching leftist control. Left-wing groups push the narrative that the Indian state inherently represents the capitalist and imperialist interest that seeks to exploit tribal lands and resources. This anti-establishment rhetoric has fostered a deep mistrust of government agencies and developmental initiatives, even when they are beneficial. By framing the government as an enemy, the left lobby has made tribal areas fertile ground for insurgency, often leading to violent confrontations between security forces and leftist militants. In some regions, young tribal children and teenagers are reportedly coerced into joining Maoist ranks, where they are trained as combatants. This has been widely condemned, but due to their isolation, tribal areas remain vulnerable to recruitment drives and forced mobilization by left-wing groups. The left lobby operating in India often opposes development projects such as infrastructure, healthcare, and education initiatives, labeling them as state attempts to dilute tribal identity or exploit resources. This resistance prevents tribes from accessing essential services and development opportunities, perpetuating their isolation and dependency on insurgent groups. By blocking such efforts, Maoists seek to maintain tribal allegiance and prevent any socio-economic integration that could weaken their influence. At various instances, certain NGOs who align or affiliate themselves with left-leaning ideologies receive international funding to sustain activism in tribal areas. Most of these funds often come here to support insurgent activities indirectly. This link between international left-wing interests and local militant efforts fuels the radicalization within tribal movements, which amplifies violence and ideological polarization. Leftist militancy also often imposes a rigid ideological structure on tribal communities, forcing them to adopt Marxist or Maoist ideas that can be at odds with their traditional values and practices. This external imposition risks eroding indigenous cultural practices and replacing them with a militant ideology that serves the leftist insurgents' larger goals. In Odisha's Malkagiri district, for example, Maoist cadres have capitalized on tribal anger against mining companies to instill hostility towards the government, thus pushing communities further into the fold of militant struggle rather than addressing their specific cultural and socio-economic needs. In summary, while tribal movements in India began as genuine efforts to seek rights and recognition, leftist extremist groups have in many cases co-opted these struggles, leading to the radicalization and militarization of some tribal areas. By framing the state as an enemy and offering a combative ideology, these groups have diverted the movement's objectives from social justice to armed resistance, making it increasingly challenging to resolve through peaceful means.